Welcome back to the Bluechip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull. This is video number 2 today. As soon as I posted the first video talking about what the coaching candidates were, the official news comes out that Tennessee did hire 2 coaches for both positions. So number 1, okay, the new running backs coach is going to be Darrell Sims, and we'll touch back on him briefly because we already talked about him in the earlier video. And the linebackers coach is going to be William Inge, who was Washington's linebackers coach this past season, and we'll touch on him as well. But let's go ahead and jump into Darrell Sims for those of y'all who missed the video earlier today. All right, so first and foremost, Coach Sims is from Union, South Carolina. So he does have some ties to the South, which is always good with our school being in the South. And that's the footprint of, where we recruit from. That's our base. Now, looking at his coaching career, you can see that there's not a lot of, big name schools on here. Again, Louisville would be the biggest school that he's coached at. James Madison was a good team. And I do believe that Coach Sims was on the staff when they won a national championship at James Madison. And, obviously he's going to be coming from Cincinnati. So he does have some experience, at the Power 5 level. And that's always a really good thing. Let's take a look at the types of recruits that he's gotten since he's been a coach. All right, and this list is from 24/7 Sports, and it's just showing the top recruits that Coach Sims is responsible for closing out on. And they're all 3-star players, but like we talked about in the earlier video, he hasn't been at very, high-level programs. So it's very difficult to recruit blue chip players if you're not at a blue chip program. But I think that Coach Sims is going to do a good job of getting acclimated to recruiting in the SEC versus the ACC or a group of 5 school like Cincinnati. That Power T holds a lot more weight than the Louisville symbol or logo or the Cincinnati Bearcats logo. So I know that that's going to help him out tremendously. And there will be a little bit of a learning curve because the players that Tennessee is going to be going after are going to be looking for, some different things, right? Like what matters to most of them will be a little bit different from what would matter the most to the best player that you could get to come to Cincinnati. And again, it's just part of the learning curve that I feel like Coach Sims will be able to grasp pretty quickly. And if he couldn't grasp it, then Coach Heupel wouldn't be hiring him. We have to trust that Coach Heupel. He knows all about big time football, on this level, ACC football, and he knows what it takes to win. And obviously, he saw that in the interview with Coach Sims. And I think he's going to be just fine from that perspective. Again, from the video earlier today, I think that that's the most important thing because coaching running backs, it's pretty much all the same deal. If you know how to coach it, you just know how to coach it. Different verbiage, maybe slight differences in schemes, but outside of that, it's pretty much the exact same thing. And I can also tell you that I got to watch a little bit of Cincinnati. When I say a little bit, I got to watch a very, very small amount of Cincinnati's offense and just seeing how the running backs look. Do they know what they're doing? How are they attacking the line of scrimmage? Are they picking up blocks, things like that? And the only running back that I saw get in the game was number 21. Looks like he's a little bit of a bigger body guy. And we'll touch on that here in just a minute. But it looked like he knew what he was doing, right? Like it looked like he knew where to go pick up blocks at. On a couple of plays that I saw, he starts off on the right side of the formation. And there's some pressure that comes from the left side, but he comes all the way across the formation and picks that, blitzing, either safety or cornerback up coming off of the edge. And I thought that that was great. And whenever you watch them actually running the football, the way that they attack the line of scrimmage, the way that they're patient, how they kind of press those holes, find the hole, explode through it. It looks very similar to what we've seen from our running backs up under Coach Heupel, especially this past season. So I do feel like there's a lot of continuity between Coach Mack and Coach Sims. And that's always important, especially whenever you have guys who have played with Coach Mack and have kind of already gotten used to his system or his style of coaching. Now, there will be some differences in their style of coaching, but it does look like they're kind of coaching to the same, aspects of the fundamentals of the game. And I think that that's huge. So I think that Coach Sims will do a very good job for us. And also, like we said earlier in the other video, we've got a lot of good running backs for him to work with. So we'll see who he decides to roll out there. Now, like we said here just a moment ago, that his running back at Cincinnati looked like he was a bigger body. We all know that Dylan Sampson is a little bit smaller, and I don't know if maybe he, may have some favoritism towards bigger backs. Some coaches do. So that would maybe leave some room for some competition between Dylan Sampson and Cam Seldon, who's a much bigger running back, and he's probably also faster than Dylan Sampson is. Is that going to be an issue if it gets to that point? I think that it could be, right? Like, when obviously we are pretty much all expecting that Dylan Sampson will be the starter for us in 2024. And I think that he feels the exact same way. He's looking at this as a send-off season to the NFL. If he's not starting, or if he's not going to be, or I would even say, if he's just not starting, not even, it doesn't even matter how many reps he's going to be getting. If he's not starting, I think that he's probably going to want to hit that transfer portal at the end of spring. But I also don't think that Coach Heupel will allow for that to happen. Again, I think that Coach Heupel, Coach Halsley, this is their offense, and they're going to pretty much, at the end of the day, dictate who's going to be getting the most carries, who's going to be getting the most reps. And I think that Dylan Sampson is in good shape from that perspective. So, just kind of spitballing, but it's something I kind of wanted to throw out there just as pure speculation. But I also kind of wanted to nip that in the bud because I don't realistically see that happening. So let's move on to our new linebackers coach in William Inge. All right, so Coach Inge pretty much came out of nowhere for me. Okay, I was kind of blindsided by this because I thought that Tennessee was only going to be targeting Coach Roy Manning, or, at least at that point. But Coach Inge just kind of slid in there. And interestingly enough, he's also an outside linebackers coach, just like Coach Manning was. So as we're kind of looking through here, we do see that, he coached at Washington this past season, and he was scheduled to be going to Alabama to coach with, his former coach. But it sounds like, obviously, he decided to choose Tennessee. So it's always good to stick it to Alabama from that perspective. And they're having some trouble being able to find coordinators over there. I'm not quite sure what's going on. If the coaches are scared of coaching on this level, if they don't think that things are going to work out in Nick Saban's shadow. There's a whole lot to speculate behind what's going on. Do they just not like Coach DeBoer? I don't know, but I don't think that's a good look for Alabama. So that's something for us to celebrate. Now, Coach Inge also played for the Tennessee Titans, I believe, back in '97. They were still called the Oilers. And it sounds like he was cut from the team because he wasn't in shape. So maybe he's going to be a guy that wants his players to be in better shape because he was cut because he was not in shape. But if you look at, what he's got going on as a coach, okay, he went to Iowa, Northern Iowa, Colorado, San Diego State, Cincinnati, Buffalo. And then he goes on to the NFL to be an assistant defensive line coach for the Bills. Also coached at Indiana for a while, Fresno State, and like what he's talked about, Washington. He's been to, several places, but none of those places are the South unless you want to count his time, playing for the Titans, which was only for one season. And I don't believe that I mentioned this earlier, but he was born in Kirkwood, Missouri. Now, when you look at the top prospects that Coach Inge was able to close out on, you're seeing guys from across the map. And I think that that's really good, okay? Obviously, that's always a good thing to add to your staff. Someone who can go anywhere in the entire country and, he will have some connections in that area of the country. And he's going to know how to talk to those players and, to those families. And it takes a very versatile personality to be able to do that. Now, I also found this mic'd up clip of Coach Inge at Washington, and I want to play this for y'all just so that y'all can get an idea of what he sounds like out there on the field.
Man, I tell you what, I can feel it coming back. Hey, Nick, I can feel it coming back.
Let's get it.
Hey, tell me something you don't like about Coach Grubb.
Let's start with what I do like. That's easier. Where's he at?
I don't know.
Hey,
I'm almost had you. Good job. Said hut. Left. Hey, you trying to get me, Daniel? Hey, D-line. Y'all know the motto, right? You know the motto? Friends don't let friends run slow. All right, here we go. Right. Hot feet. Hey, and Cam, remember, make sure the discipline is in the details here now. When you come through the strike, you should be striking with right foot, right shoulder here. Right foot, right shoulder. Cool, so just keep learning. It's all about learning, fellas. The one thing we wanted to see, did you have a chance to accomplish your goal today? We all had a goal. Did you accomplish it?
All right, so you can tell that he's very laid back. Now, I don't know if he's always like that or if it's because he's out on the West Coast and, maybe their personalities kind of rubbed off on him. Or is it that he's just very versatile and he knows how to, talk to his players talk to his audience, right? So I think that that's a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I've never personally seen a linebackers coach be that laid back. And it's a little bit concerning. Like whenever I first watched it, I was a little bit concerned because usually your linebackers are going to be the most fiery players on your entire team. Everyone on the football team are warriors, but the linebackers are kind of like the leaders. So you would really expect to, for their leader to be a little bit more fiery. But I watched Washington play some too. Okay, I watched some of their clips, and I've watched them throughout the entire season. But I focused a lot more on their linebackers because you didn't hear a whole lot about Washington's linebackers this past season. And what I can tell is that they do play fast. And I don't necessarily mean that they are running fast, but more that they are kind of like, I'm going to go get to the football fast. So that's more of what I wanted. Okay, in the video earlier, we spoke about this. I want to see a linebacker coach that comes in and his philosophy is, hey, we're going to see the ball. We're going to go get the ball. Not a whole lot of time processing stuff. I think that that's good, but also saw them overrunning some plays. Now, just like Coach Sims, okay, for the running backs, Coach Inge is going to be coming into a linebacker core that's got a lot more talent than what he had at Washington. So I know that he's got to be pretty much licking his chops. Really, both coaches. They've got to be licking their chops about just how good this team can be, or at least how good their position groups can be. And they've got to be excited for what they have to work with. Now, can they coach them up? Is going to be a lot more important for Coach Inge to be able to teach and get his guys ready to play than it will be for Coach Sims. Because again, running backs, you kind of, teach them a few little things. You go out there, you play, okay? It's not that deep. But playing linebacker, there's a lot to learn. There's a whole lot of different, mindsets on how to play, how to take on blocks, different leverage points. Do you want to take on, running backs or blockers high? Are you going to go low? Can you teach guys how to win with speed? I mean, there's a lot. There's a whole lot that goes into that. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, he's been coaching for quite some time. He does have some experience with the NFL, so that's a really good thing. And, I'm hoping that he's going to do well. Again, I'm going to trust in his staff, going to trust in Coach Heupel. I'm going to trust in Coach Banks that they went out and that they identified the right men for the jobs. And we could also say the same thing that we said about Dylan Sampson. Is this going to be a situation where, maybe some of the linebackers that we thought would be starting this season, do they, maybe take a step back? Or, does Coach Inge come in and like someone else more than who we thought, would be the starters coming into the season, or who we thought would get the most playing time? Because coaches do value different things, especially whenever you're talking about linebackers. There's some coaches that say, hey, I value speed more. And it's all right if you're a little bit undersized, because again, I could teach you how to play with speed. Some coaches say, hey, I can't teach you how to play with speed. You're going to have to be big. You're going to have to be strong. You got to be physical at the point of contact to be able to take on blocks. That's what I teach. So again, man, it's going to be very, very interesting. And we won't know really any of this stuff, I guess, unless they come out with the press conference at some point soon. And maybe they'll kind of talk more about what their, individual coaching styles are, what their mindset is, or how they want for their players to, play out there on the field. We probably really won't know a whole lot until spring practice. So as y'all know, just like I did in the last spring, if there are some clips out there of spring practice, I will be kind of breaking down those clips. And now we have a little bit more to look at because we've got 2 new position coaches and we can kind of dissect exactly what they're doing. But that's going to be it for this video. And thank y'all for staying all the way to the end. And please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.